Last month, I made 101,000 US dollars in cash. Yeah, I only worked 4 hours a day. I was enjoying my life here in Cape Town. I actually traveled back for a retreat and I was seeing my friends and family over in London. But that's because I've set up my consulting business in a specific way where I'm gonna explain to you in this video. I've removed myself from certain tasks. I focus on tasks that actually move the business forward, and I've assembled a great team. And I wanted to make this video to explain to you, as someone who's probably at the $10,000 to $20,000 a month mark, exactly how you can structure your business and how you can future-proof your business to make sure that you're making lots of money, but also enjoying your life at the same time as well. So what I want to do is firstly break down exactly what my company looks like. And this is exactly what you should be thinking about when you create your business. You are the CEO, right? And you have, very simply, marketing, sales, and delivery. You need to think about what are the roles under each of these in order to grow your business. Obviously, you market to get people's attention, you sell to get people who have got attention to buy from you, and you deliver the service you offer. Any consulting, coaching, or agency business runs in the exact same way. So there's a CMO, that currently is me, head of sales, and there is the head of product. So I effectively have that as my delivery. But what I then plot every single thing that I have in my business is on this axis. And on this axis, we have high energy. And on this axis, we have high leverage. And what you need to do is to plot every single thing that you do on this axis, with the things that take the most amount of energy in this area, the things that move the dial of the business around this area. And what you want to do is think about what is in the high energy but low leverage quadrant. This is the absolute no-no. This will be things like editing. This will be things like admin, delivery admin, basically anything in your business which really doesn't require you. Anyone else can do it. On the flip side is the things that are low energy and high leverage. This is the beautiful zone. For me, this is marketing. For me, this is like leadership in my business. So like managing people. But I am constantly thinking about the tasks that are in this area. And then you want to plot every single task that you do. So for example, I don't know, a task that is high energy and high leverage. This might be, say, like sales calls. Definitely high leverage, but also take a lot of energy. And a task that is low energy and low leverage, I don't know, tax. Something along those lines. I know tax is maybe more high leverage. What I want you to do is plot every single thing that you do in your business on this grid. We're gonna slowly remove the things on this side and keep the things on this side. And then you're gonna plot this within your company. You say editing here. We're gonna have like editing is under the kind of CMO task. Ideation, filming, analytics. I'm never gonna be able to spell that. And you just look at all of those tasks. And then you're thinking, okay, where does analytics fit on this graph? For example, on sales, it could be setting, it could be sales calls, it could be like sales dashboard. Product is like coaching, delivery, depending if you're an agency or a coaching, depends what that actually looks like. But you just wanna plot all that on here. The best way to remove yourself is to think, obviously, what's further here. The first thing that's definitely gonna go is editing. We've also got here like admin. So that's definitely gonna wanna go. The setting process is a very important thing to get rid of as well. And what I'm trying to say here is you're basically just removing yourself from this. And I've just created a company graph that looks like this, and I've got all of the tasks that I do under here, and I'm slowly just removing myself, even to the point where sales calls are now no longer in my kind of line that I need to be doing. And you just want to slowly remove yourself from certain parts. So what I want you to do is think about your company like this and effectively what you can remove. And that is effectively how I've removed myself from business. But here is where things might look different for you, because I want to actually speak about the zone of genius, because for everyone that looks differently. If you're running a sales coaching mentorship, you're going to be very good at sales calls. It probably means that you should stay on sales calls. If you're running an agency and you're very, very good at getting customers results, then you should probably stay in that. But the thing that I have worked out is that I am very good at marketing. That is something that I am naturally better at than the average person who runs one of these businesses. And that's a bit cocky to say, but I will say that anyway. And I actually made the dangerous decision about a year ago of removing myself from the marketing, getting people to do ideation, scripting, and that was bad because what I did is I removed something here in my head, assumed it was actually lower leverage than I thought. So let's say it was up here, but I mistaked it for here. So you need to be very, very clear about what is it that you're incredibly good at? What are you effectively better at than most other people? The big warning sign that I would say here is that most people cannot remove themselves from the bulk of marketing. Effectively, you are going to have to film yourself. There is no way that I can remove myself with a personal brand-led business from being here. So you have to still stay in the marketing in some way. I am naturally very good at coming up with good ideas. You might sit there and say, okay, maybe I'm not so good at that. So you just need to work out where everything ranks on here. The second part of this whole thing is this whole thing breaks down if you don't know how to hire properly. I have a team of 12 people right now. We've got 4 full-timers and 8 freelancers. So again, like let's call it a team of 4 people. But the reason I've got to that point is because I understand how to hire A players. And what do I mean by A players? Well, a lot of people define it very differently, but for me, an A player has 2 things. This first is that they are independent, and the second is they want to learn. That is effectively the 2 things that I've worked out from A players. Because again, some people do not come in with the most amount of skill, especially when you're growing one of these businesses. It's very unlikely you're gonna be able to pick someone out of the biggest company in your space. But the 2 things that people are able to do is they have independent thinking and they want to learn. They are taking on advice and they are implementing it. And that is my definition of A players. You know, most people completely ignore this when they're trying to grow their business, and that is that they don't hire in the right way. But let me ask you this question about the last person you hired. How many applications did you get and how many people did you actually interview? Because I looked at my old corporate consulting job. For context, I used to work in the corporate consulting world. They had 10,000 applicants for about 20 roles to be a junior consultant in that company. They had an incredible hiring process where they had round after round after round, interviews, case studies, the lot. They made sure they left no stone unturned to go and find the perfect applicant for their company. The problem with lots of online business owners, and maybe your recruiting process involves this, is you simply just hire the first or the second person you speak to. Your mate tells you that someone else is good, and they're like, all right, I'm gonna hire this person. Or you put out an application, one person applies, and you're like, this person's pretty good. The problem with that is twofold. The first is you do not actually know what good looks like. If you only speak to one person, you have no idea whether you've hired someone who's great in the market, even if you've had hired for this role before. You have no idea if that person is actually good or not. The second is that you have potentially missed out on the chance to get someone who's 2 or 3 times better. And I've developed this hiring framework for everyone who comes into my business. And I'm so proud of it. And it means that I know that every person I hire is A, gonna be very, very good, and B, I'm not gonna have missed out on a better candidate as well. The first is applications. You want to make sure that you hit at least 50. Not 2, not 3, not 10, not 20, 50. There are many ways to find this, but I use social media, I use networks, I use communities, and a top tip here, which again, I normally put behind my pay program, is basically making sure that I give a referral fee. So I say to everyone, you know, if you're gonna send this on to someone and they get hired, then I'm gonna pay you multiple thousands of dollars. And I have a full template, and we go through this in a lot of detail in my pay program, which is the Free Thinkers Club community, which we help people hit $50,000 a month mark with their online businesses. If you wanna join that, then just check the link in the description and you can book in a call to see if it's the right fit with my team. So yeah, going back to this headline framework, we pay people to make sure that we get as many applicants as possible. And once I hit this 50 number, and not before, I then go and I use AI filtering. So, of course, you're a busy business owner and you're sat there and you probably don't have time to read 50 applications. You want to make sure that you have tons of questions, those applications, get people to do Loom videos, and you want to do AI filtering. And you want to make sure that if anyone doesn't send you a Loom video, you get them away straight away, and you're just basically putting this into Claude or ChatGPT and saying, get rid of any applications that have no Loom video. Another thing is I asked, does anyone use the AI hash? You know, that one there, that one. Get rid of anyone who uses that because they've immediately used AI, which means they've not written it, so we don't want that either. And then other small things like if they do generalize, so I can basically be like, can you flag me some answers that are generalized and see if they are actually generalized, and we get rid of that. You get that to the point where you're probably at about 20 people. You then want to make sure, secondly, that you then do a manual review. So you then look and you want to get that down to roughly 10 people. So here you've done the manual review and you've got that down to 10 people, all the way from 50. You got rid of 40 people. These 10 people you're going to take to demo call. Just to be clear on that manual review, you want to make sure that you're effectively looking at things where the answers are really good. The experience is better than most people, basically halving the number, because even in here, you're going to have some people that are clean, not suited for the role. They might have done all the right things, but they might not have enough experience. They might have too much experience, whatever. Every time I interview someone, I know within the first 10 seconds if they're even gonna stand a chance of joining my business. And I basically am gonna take 10 people there and I'm gonna cut those people, let's say like 7, maybe even lower, let's say like 5. So I'm gonna cut those people in half straight away. Step number 5 is I'm then going to get them to do a task. I'm running out of space on the bottom here, but I'm gonna get them to a task which replicates what they do for their job. So if it's a setter, I'm gonna make sure that I'm getting them to do some setting. I'm gonna do like a live setting conversation with them. A task that is gonna replicate the job that they do, because someone can come across really well in an interview, they can get help with their application. We wanna see what they're actually like at doing the job that you're employing them for. So that is gonna maybe keep it at 5, but it could even go to 3. You don't know how well this task goes. And then the last one is the final stage. And that is where we hire we interview the 5 to 3 people. And this is where you go through in a 60-minute long interview everything this person is about, what their experience is, what they're like under pressure. You ask them the questions where you're like, oh yeah, if this happened, what would you do? And this is the interview. But you see here how I have got to 5 or 3 people, but I've interviewed or at least got applications from 50 people. So these people are the cream of the crop. Most people, they just literally do this. Even like a lot of people don't even do this, but most people, they do this. And as I said, this has allowed me to construct a business where not only do I have A players in it, but I also get to focus on the things that are just important for me. And everything else is done by people who are great at what they do. But this has to happen step by step by step. And of course, you can't do this at once. So you need to work out how to get the cash flow to earn the money to hire these people. But there are certainly hires that you can make before you actually need to pay big wages and big expenses, setting being a great example of that. And so that is my breakdown. That's exactly how I made $101,000 just last month while having an amazing life at the same time. I'm very, very fortunate. And if you look at that business structure and you want to know how to install this into your business, then please do check out the link in the description, because this is one of the biggest things that I help my clients with, is how to remove themselves from the day-to-day basis. You might be making good money, but you might be working stupid hard, or you want to know how to make sure that you can focus on the most important things and delegate to other people so they can do the things that don't actually move the business forward. So if you are interested in joining my program to learn exactly how to do this and to join the Free Thinkers Club, an amazing community of people who are scaling business to 50K a month, then just click the link in the description and we can see if you'd be a good fit to come work with us and to install this all into your service-based business.